Hello and welcome back to a special segment of SportsZone. It is our Olympics segment, Passing the Torch. I'm joined by Aviva, and this is a special segment because the Olympics only come around every 2 years, really. So the Winter Olympics, a special event in Pyeongchang, South Korea this year. Lots of excitement there for some old athletes and some athletes that maybe a lot of people haven't heard of before making a name for themselves. So I think we'll start. The United States has racked up a pretty solid medal count in the first week of the Games. They won their first gold medal in snowboard slope style with one of these athletes that I think a great story, the Olympics, who nobody had heard of before the Olympics, Aviva, and that's Gerrard.
Yeah, he's a 17-year-old. No one even heard of his name before. He was in that event, and he was down for his first two runs. On his third run, he knew he had to get a high score, and then I think he got a score of like 87. So he definitely did really well, and now everyone knows who he is. And he even said after the event that he's gonna go take a nap and be a 17-year-old kid. So that was really cool, and it was really nice to see that was the USA's first medal.
Yeah, it was a very nice overnight sensation for him. The U.S. usually does dominate those type of extreme sport type events, but usually a lot of the names are not some that we're familiar with. But transitioning from one 17-year-old who was unknown to one 17-year-old who entered the Olympics with a lot of hype and a lot of expectations, that was Chloe Kim in the women's half-pipe event in snowboarding. And Aviva, she really met the expectations in her run, didn't she?
Yeah, she did really well. She actually qualified for Sochi 4 years ago when she was 13, but did not compete because she was under the age limit. So she was even really good 4 years ago, and she lived up to the hype. She got the gold medal. She got a score in the low 90s, high 90s, and it was really good to see someone who everyone kept saying that they were excited to see her, and she definitely lived up to the hype.
Yeah, she definitely did, landing back-to-back 1080s on her run, which I think for the first time ever in the women's division of that sport. Her dad becoming a big sensation as well. But it's always nice when you hear about these athletes and then you actually see them perform and them really exceeding all realistic expectations you have and seeing some of the things that they do, twisting about in the air like that. Someone who, on the male side, the U.S. also entered the event with a favorite and were able to come out with a victory, a name probably people were more familiar with, that's Shaun White. But he was on a bit of a redemption trail this time, Aviva, and he again earned his third gold medal in the event.
Yeah, he got hurt in October. He suffered an injury to his face, and he got over 70 stitches on his face, and people were wondering if he will be able to do really well in the Olympics, and he met and exceeded those expectations. He got a score of 98 on his snowboarding event. So it was really nice to see, and yeah.
Yeah, especially for him. He medaled in 2006 and 2010, but then missed out on the podium in Sochi, falling on his final run there. So even adding to that redemption, to that injury you talked about that he suffered right before the Games, lots of questions surrounding him. Shifting from the snow sort of to the ice, an event that captivates everybody, the neutrals' attention, that's ice skating. The United States had some of these fiery characters that everybody latched onto, that of Adam Rippon, the 28-year-old skater who unfortunately did miss out on the podium but helped the U.S. get a team bronze in the event. But the event was really dominated by a Japanese Yuzuru Hanyu, Aviva, who made history at this Olympic Games.
Yeah, he was the first male to win back-to-back gold medals in ice skating, and that has been done in over 66 years. So it was a great accomplishment for him.
Certainly. Ice skating, it seems like there's a lot of turnover. It's a young person's game, but to win it twice shows sort of longevity and speaks to the greatness of maybe an athlete that a lot of people haven't heard of, but is a national hero and now is somebody that a national audience has certainly heard of. we talked about comebacks with Shaun White, another athlete who was well known to the American public, was making a comeback of her own at this Olympics after missing out in the Sochi Games in 2014, and that was Lindsey Vonn. She competed in the Super G alpine skiing event Friday night in Aviva. It didn't really go according to plan for Lindsey Vonn, did it?
Yeah, she missed the podium. She hasn't been in the Olympics in over 8 years, and she definitely did not do as well as she was hoping she could do. So it's really sad to see, and a lot of people are not being nice to her because of it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate she's facing a lot of backlash there, but she will also compete in the downhill event as well, so another chance for her maybe to get some redemption and get a medal. In alpine skiing, it's such tight margins. She finished 0.2 of a second slower than the person who gold medaled, so the margins of victory in that sport are so fine, but she'll be looking for another medal of her own. And sort of transitioning finally before we sign off, the Olympics as a whole offer a chance to sort of view a lot of sports that a casual viewer wouldn't normally get to see. So Viv, I'll just ask you, what sport sort of is the most interesting to you that you get to watch that is not normally on TV or don't normally get to see?
So I have two. One is skeleton. Skeleton is a very dangerous sport. You lie on your stomach, you go face down, and you go over like 80 miles per hour down and these turns, and it's really scary. But it's also like fun to watch, and I know that I would never be able to do that. So that's definitely interesting. And another one's curling. I think I'm one of a few people who actually enjoy watching curling. It's really cool that they sweep and I don't know. I really like it. But also in Jamaica, it was the first time that a women's team qualified and made the Olympics in the bobsleighing. So that's really nice to see. So
it certainly is. Those are the stories that sort of make the Olympics. Those stories that captivate the heart. They may not necessarily win the event, but they certainly will become sensations, bring a lot of eyes to their sport as well, and that's, I think, what the Olympics are all about. Mm-hmm. That sort of wraps it up for our recap of the first week of the Olympic Games. We be back next week to talk about the second week of the Olympic Games and sort of wrap up the events in Pyeongchang, but stick around for more SportsZone after this.